Searching for music for your next video? Then you need to check out our list. With amazing new music added daily,
手位还没练上去呀、有啊，他们要请新闻中心练上去。负责视讯的是那个教化中心的。哦，哦，是少的，不是我们教化中心的。啊，所以我们用它的软体，顺便 promotion。你要讲吗？你要讲，我不讲啊。等会要宣扬自己的。事实上，现在那个可以用投影的，那个。哦，你要 touch pen。这样才能 interact。那个是 touch panel 的吗？对呀、因为像现在那个我们那个学长啊，郑崇华学长，他每一次不是在秀他的8K 的吗？我知道，就是说，是啊，他8K。 是啊，但是你就是要去拍那8K，现在 YouTube 上面都有8K 的，尤其日本人拍的那种影像，很多8K 的。啊？你对吧？
哦，他从台北连线。
啊？
大兵。
对呀、就是。
Hello, 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 hello.
Hello?
Who do I have there?
This is Jason Wang. Can you hear me?
Oh, I see. Jason, this is Jenny Su from NCKU. Welcome, and thank you so much for
Hi.
joining us. I guess we'll get to
Thank
meet
you
some
for your
point.
invitation. Yeah.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
and I'm also aware you will be joining our minister Chen tomorrow, right? For another
Yes.
session. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So, this is me. I know. I saw him. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So through the day, just for your information, we have at least 20, 30 sort of different countries origin, and then more than hundreds of people are registering. And this will be the first time that we are doing this in Taiwan. And I have informed Ministry of Science Education, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Science and Technology, as well as Ministry of Health for this activity. So hopefully we'll be serving as the platform with the time to come. And we certainly will benefit from your input in the following time for any potential sort of network as well as work. Facilities are continuously being built throughout Taiwan for different purpose. There will be likely new initiatives coming along for facilitating program projects on different topics in terms of technology-assisted or facilitated Medicare, as well as other research on vaccine and diagnostic kits and so forth. So I guess this goes quite full spectrum, and we'll see how it goes in the time to come. But for that, thank you.
I look forward to learning from you.
Did you get to browse a little bit of our facility? This is quite actually airy. And for most part, it's all naturally ventilated. And it becomes quite sort of flexible and friendly in the time like this. So we often still continue to host and house academic gathering for people less than 100. And then it got quite spacey. And most of the time, we also provide a detailed air exchange calculation and estimate so that we are all comfortable with the situation. So is the speed of my talk okay for the flow? Okay. 好. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. 我跟你讲，那个口罩还是一直会碰到我的嘴巴。我讲的时候大概就不用。
2020 NCKU International Virtual Forum on COVID-19, how universities respond to emerging crises and partner via networking. Welcome remarks by Professor Hui-Zhen Jenny Su, President of NCKU and Chairperson of SATU President's Forum. Professor Su, please.
Okay. A very good morning for those of you already get online from different parts of the world joining us. I am able to identify quite a few quite a few of you, who are old friends, and also joining us in a few minutes to come is our special lecturer, Dr. Jason Wang, already in presence from Stanford. Again, this is Jenny. Jenny Su. I'm president of the National Chen Gong University, based in the city of Tainan and Taiwan. And very good morning. For a university who have more than 88 years, are now based here in the Resilience Island. We are also known for being a research-intensive university. But I guess even more than that, we are recognized for our social undertaking. So this is with immense privilege and pleasure to welcome all of you joining this first virtual forum by the university here in Taiwan, intend to really coordinate and assemble different disciplines and expertise and interests from different sectors across not only the higher education sector, but as well as the research and also industrial sort of aspects of the interest. So today, the meeting venue is actually funded and fully supported by Cisco on the web-based EX system. We highly appreciate that. And even more of that, above that is friends, our speakers, our panelists, and even just the registered participants who are willing to join for a 12-hour-long spending across the different geographic border to render your support. I guess that's the key for our future sort of collaboration. And this forum is very much also inspired by realizing that universities have the sole responsibility to be the guiding light and therefore to lead for a better outlook at the time when society is meeting our historical challenges. And in an even more globalized higher education platform, we should aspire for continuing networking, if not more aggressively, through available support of technology and our unfailing belief for a common future. So across different continents and spanning 12-hour long in time, today's program is only a humble beginning to exemplify how we may contribute our connected efforts and resources in the time of global threat. And NCKU is pledged to be a loyal partner in the community as we, hopefully, to thrive further into next civilization with unveiling new discoveries and our genuine empathy for everyone on the world. So with that, I wish you all the success of our forum today, and everyone enjoy the dialogue, the meeting through this virtual platform. And I see President Nakata from Tsukuba University in Japan also already present in his office. So with that, welcome and thank you. So look forward to our dialogue today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Su. Greeting address from Deputy Minister Qi Gonghe, Ministry of Health and Welfare, Taiwan. Deputy Minister He is occupied with an emergent tracing project for the newly confirmed cases among sailors from a goodwill mission and is not able to join online at this moment. He has sent the forum his greeting address, and it says, Dear ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ministry of Health and Welfare, Taiwan, I would like to thank all of you as the intellectual and educators of society for all your work to sustain the solidarity in campuses, protect our students, and fight with the COVID-19 pandemic together. I'm glad to be invited to participate in the 2020 NCKU International Virtual Forum on COVID-19. The virtual forum provides a platform for collaboration among universities seeking to respond, educate, and equip their students, faculty, and staff to engage fighting the COVID-19 pandemic together. A novel form of pneumonia that first emerged in Wuhan, China, at the end of 2019 and has since been classified as coronavirus disease 2019. COVID-19 has caused a global pandemic. As of April 18, 2020, World Health Organization data show that 2.16 million people had been confirmed as having the disease, with 146 and 88 deaths in 211 countries, areas, and territories. Taiwan focuses concurrently on containing spread of this virus in the communities and has not been spared yet. As of April 20th, there were 420 confirmed cases, including 6 deaths in Taiwan. In the 17 years since it was hit hard by the SARS outbreak, Taiwan has been prepared to respond to the threat of emergent infectious disease, EID. Taiwan Centers for Disease Control has established infrastructures, including 6 regional commander networks for infection control, negative pressure isolation rooms, EID designated hospitals, and responsible hospital list, preparing stockpiles of antivirals and the personal protective equipment, and annual response to EID drills in healthcare systems. In response to the threat of COVID-19 epidemic, Taiwan has implemented several innovative plans with information technology concerning border quarantine measures, such as an electronic system that allows returning travelers to fill in health information with a local mobile phone number, and a name-based rationing system for mask purchases, and an ordering system for masks on March 12th. Individuals' travel history is now stored on the National Health Insurance Card, NHI card, to alert physicians to possible cases and prevent community transmission. For those undergoing home quarantine or isolation, the government is working with telecom operators to allow GPS tracking of their locations. Based on 25 years of NHI, people fully trust and comply with government. Well-established NHI system, quickly implemented and connected to the Community Care Support Management System, which allowed government agencies to provide care services and medical assistance. Learning from sharing, then we conquer the COVID-19 pandemic together. Taiwan is a long-standing contributor to the international community in the areas of public health, disease prevention, and the human right to health. Taiwan has shared information on confirmed cases, travel, and contact history of patients, and border control measures, and communicate with other countries like Japan, the Republic of Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, the Philippines, the United States, Canada, Italy, France, Switzerland, Germany, the United Kingdom, Belgium, and the Netherlands, as well as the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control. Taiwan will continue to work with the rest of the world to demonstrate Taiwan can help, and Taiwan is helping. University shares a common but differentiated responsibility to prevent destructive impacts on the society, as well as educational system, while maintaining the right to pursue high quality of education. Thank NCKU, again, to provide such a valuable opportunity in this crisis moment. We will overcome the COVID-19 pandemic only through effective collaboration and communication among scientists, experts, innovators, and policymakers. We must to act, learn, and share with each other. Now, Dr. Zhi Gonghe, Deputy Minister, Ministry of Health and Welfare. End of address.
Deputy Minister Ho extends his best wishes. We spoke last night again. You friends from all around the world realize that we are managing new issue and new challenges here in Taiwan. So everyone is committed and posted in his respective position. And let's all wish the best for each other and everyone. So next.
Special lecture. How can a democracy effectively respond to COVID-19? Lessons from Taiwan. Associate Professor Jason Wang, Director, Center for Policy, Outcomes and Prevention, Stanford University, the United States. Professor Wang, you may start, please.
Hello, everybody. Can you see the screen well? Or I'm not sure which view you're seeing.
Okay, we see very well your title page, Jason.
Okay, great, great. So hi, my name's Jason Wang. I'm at Stanford University. I'm originally from Taiwan. In fact, both of my parents were born in Tainan. And so I'm quite familiar with Tainan. And I want to thank National Cheng-Kung University for inviting me to this forum. It's a privilege to speak with you today. I'm a pediatrician, and I'm also a health policy analyst. And my research has focused on the intersection of technology and healthcare, and also on the disparities in healthcare. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my interests is how can democracies effectively respond to a fast spreading epidemic such as COVID-19. And I'm going to talk about lessons that I learned from Taiwan, and it's due to all the hard work from Taiwanese health officials and people of Taiwan, and collaborating together to make this remarkable achievement. As you know, Taiwan is about 81 miles off the coast of China. And there are lots of traffic between Taiwan and China. And last year, in 2019, about 2.7 million people, travelers, came from China. And Taiwan also has about 1 million people living or working in China and going back and forth between two countries. And so Taiwan is a vibrant democracy. And so in January of this year, Taiwan had a presidential election where 75% of the eligible voters voted. And that's quite remarkable. It's basically what that says is that if people are not happy with what the government is doing, they're going to vote you out of office if 75% of the people voted. So as you know, the virus started in Wuhan, and initially it was thought to be sort of transmitted through animals in the Huanan wholesale seafood market in Wuhan, China. And it was thought to spread through an intermediary, through bats to an intermediary. Most likely now people think it's an anteater. The war expert in coronaviruses is actually at National Cheng-Kung University, Dr. Lai Mingzhao. I've been a big fan of reading his work. He was a former president of your university. And you know, one of the stories that was told was that Dr. Li Minliang had reported the case of his colleagues getting sick and his patients getting sick. He's an ophthalmologist, and was reprimanded initially for reporting it as a whistleblower. And he later died of the disease. You know, it's a very sad story. And then there was a lockdown in Wuhan, but before the lockdown, 5 million people had left the city. So the reason that I wrote this article is that I go to Taiwan every month. I teach in a new program called the New School for Leadership in Healthcare, and where I would take U.S. faculty to Taiwan every month, including the former commissioner of the FDA and the former health commissioner of New York City. So I take these special guests to Taiwan every month to teach. And I came back from Taiwan on January 12th, and this is when things were happening in Wuhan. And I wasn't sure if I should go in February. So I started to collect data from everything I could find from the Taiwanese newspapers and also the Chinese WeChat and also US CDC data. So I try to figure out what is going on. And I try to track the cases and also what Taiwan's responses to the crisis is. And so this is how we sort of was able to log every single event, mostly from published newspaper articles. And this was published in JAMA on March 3rd. And if you're interested, you could read the details of the publication. So Taiwan hasn't always done so well. So it has learned important lessons from SARS in 2003, where 73 deaths had occurred during that crisis, and 94% of all the known infections were transmitted inside the hospital. And all the major hospitals were either fully or partially shut down. So that caused a big scare in the psyche, I believe, of the Taiwanese people. And certainly this is when, one of the first times where in recent history where Taiwanese people were asked to be quarantined and a lot of education need to take place in a crisis. And I think Taiwan has learned a lot from the SARS crisis in 2003. So since that crisis, there's been a lot of amendments to the Communicable Disease Control Act. And some of the amendments allow the government, for example, to have protective equipment stockpiles in different hospitals. And also it has set up a national health command center, even though it had a central epidemic command center before, but the National Health Command Center integrated 3 different command centers to unify the command, which is very important in a crisis. It also allowed regulations of gatherings, entry and exit of people, traffic, evacuation, and travel restrictions. Now, some of this might seem normal to people in Taiwan, but if, for example, in the United States, this is very difficult to do. And also allow the penalties for violating home quarantines and isolation regulations and so forth. And it allows the government basically to use public properties and acquisition, use of land, production, buildings, devices, facilities for necessary equipment such as pharmaceuticals and medical devices for disease control. Now, this happens to be also very important in a crisis. So this for those of the foreign attendees, this is the command center, and so you could see that it has a command office, it has a data center, the storage room, conference rooms, it's got a lounge where people could rest if you stand there late, situation room with media, conference room, and so forth. It's located on the 7th floor of the Taiwan CDC, and it could accommodate 100 people at a time. So this is what it looks like when it's in operations. The system collects real-time data from multiple Taiwanese databases. That includes the National Health Insurance Stockpile System, the Taiwan National Infectious Disease Statistics System, and the Media Surveillance System. And it also has information exchange with departments in other countries through the IHR focal point. So let's walk back through our understanding of what happened. And so as we were tracking this through the newspapers, soon after December 31st, when the Taiwanese officials suspect of a human-to-human transmission, they began to board and inspect passengers with symptoms coming from flights from Wuhan, right? And then, as far as we could tell, on January 20th, that the Central Epidemic Command Center was activated, and that's part of the National Health Command Center. And there was a National Security Council meeting somewhere around January 21st. And then flights from Wuhan started to get canceled, and visa started to get canceled because it was thought to be the epicenter. And tours from China were suspended or cut short. So they were sending people back on tour from China. And on January 27th, the Immigration and Customs database were basically sent in batch files to the National Health Insurance database. Okay, so this is the first time we're seeing sort of the practice of big data, use of different data sets to understand a key question. So this is a picture of how people get on flights to check for symptoms of fever or respiratory symptoms like cough and evidence of pneumonia. So what happens at border control? So border control is very important because if you have people flying in from epidemic centers, you want to separate them from people who didn't fly from epidemic centers. So what the Taiwanese government had done was they set up a system where you could basically scan in a QR code or you could fill out a form. And the QR code leads you to an online declaration form. And the form, you have to fill out, your travel history and whether or not you have symptoms, respiratory symptoms or fever. Then you have to fill out your contact info, your cell phone number and where you're staying. And so the algorithm allows the immigration customs to separate people who are from level 3 alert countries, where you really want to be very careful because it's places like Wuhan, and so people from level 3 countries were asked to be quarantined for 14 days, and people who didn't have symptoms, they were asked they get a pass through a text message and they could go through customs. And so basically, if you are handling a large number of passengers, you want to be able to triage most of them to go through and then focus on the ones that need to you need to be careful and pay attention to. So those people who are asked to do quarantine, they basically they will provide their food, and then the health officials will call them 2 to 3 times a day. And in more recently, I believe that they also pay people, right, to stay quarantined. So about $30 a day, equivalent to 1 day of a young person's salary. Okay, and I took this from a Global News that the Canadian a TV show made a video for me, so I'm just using it. And then so the big data integration allows to sort of the batch files and allow the government to integrate 14 days of travel history, and that's sort of the incubation period. And so when a doctor sees a patient in a clinic or a nurse, they will be alerted that this person has been to level 3 alert countries. So I'm a doctor, and that if I see that, then I will make sure that I put on a mask and I put on a gown and protective gear and maybe a shield, and I will ask more history about the travel history and the symptoms, and then I might order a COVID-19 test if I know somebody has a risk factor. And so this is important for practicing physicians in the front lines to know that information. I think Taiwan has done that very well at the point of care. The other thing that I think was done very well is the managing the crisis. So the government has recognized very early on that you need protective gear, you need the personal protective equipment. So they announced on January 20th that there are 44 million surgical masks. And then any Taiwanese will do a little quick calculation, 23 million people, 44 million masks. That's less than 2 masks per person. Right? Then after they announce that and people knows that information, then they say, well, we're going to have to ban the export of masks. So that makes sense because people recognize that they don't have enough masks. So you ban it. And then they start ramping up the production from 2 million a day to 10 million a day in 3 weeks. That's very difficult to do. And it requires a lot of ingenuity, collaboration between the engineers, sourcing of materials to make masks. Now, most importantly, they prevented price gouging. So basically, the price of masks would drop because you were making more. That's great news. In the US, the price of masks kept on going up because people are bidding up the price of masks because everybody needs them. So this is an important initiative by the government and a lot of insight into how to handle a crisis. So just to give you an example, there are 3 layers to a mask. The one layer close to your face, it's got to be soft. And the middle layer is the high density filter layer. And the outer layer is the waterproof layer. So they had quickly identified where the manufacturers are and how to source the material. And so they've done their homework in supply chain management. So this is like the best example of supply chain management. And so now, currently, I believe Taiwan makes about 12 million masks per day. It's one of the largest producers now. Now, the other thing about a crisis is that you really want to communicate with the public on what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I think Taiwan has just done an extraordinary job with the minister's team in NCKU, and just extraordinary. And also the vice president and the president, they go on TV regularly. And they also are very creative in making these maps to tell people about where to get the mask. This is a map of inventories, okay? That the green says that 50% of the inventory are still there, where you're located, so you could just go to the closest place. Now, I wanted to end with this slide. So in crisis management, you have to have logic, okay? Logic includes, do you really think this is human-to-human transmission? How do we prevent the spread? And then you have to have the right sequence. What do you do first? What do you do second? And the steps has to be correct. So the management of masks, they have got the right sequence, because they tell people we don't have enough masks, they stop the exporting, then they make more. Then you have to have the right tempo. Things sometimes you have to do really fast, act really fast, and then you have to articulate, tell the public what you are doing and why you're doing it. So that's sort of a summary of my understanding of what Taiwan has done, and I think it's been quite effective. It's got one of the lowest cases of COVID-19 and one of the lowest mortality in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wang.
Professor Wang, Jason, I think if you have a few minutes left before you have to go on to the next activity, we got questions.
Yes, we are going to have a very quick question, Q&A, for one question only.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
so who has the luckiest slot? Is it open? Okay. Oh, okay. So it's from the audience. Good. Right here. Could you identify yourself as well?
Yes, Professor Wong. My name is Firman
Louder.
My name is Firman Shah. I'm from Indonesia. And I'm really interested with this presentation of yours about how democracy can respond to COVID. And as you know, Indonesia is one of the largest democracy country in the world. And we also have a massive problem right now with the COVID. I'm wondering if you have any suggestion for our country, because basically when the government make a decision or policy, they have to think about how this policy affect with the people that live for day-to-day job. I mean, they have to do the activities daily to get the income daily. And second things, we also, one of the largest, is the largest Muslim country, where we have daily religious activity 5 times a day we have to do, and we have to gather around. So do you have any suggestion about that? Thank you, President.
Yes, thank you for your question. All the interventions that the government could do has to be in full communication and have the support of the government in terms of the democracy. So one suggestion that I have is for you to get your civil leaders together. The religious leaders, the people from industry, people from the labor force, get them together in a room and try to figure out a list of interventions that you could do and what will be acceptable to the people, and then have a good communication plan. And then you also need a good operations person, because there are so many activities going on across different sectors that it's impossible. It's like it's not a human job to handle this kind of thing. You know, you need a team, and the team need to communicate very well. You need to be in the same room. You need to have a command center. If you don't have a command center, just get a whole bunch of computers together. Make sure people are sitting in 6 feet or 2 meters, whatever, from each other, but they need to be in the same room and be able to talk to each other. And they need to be able to talk to the media. They need to be able to coordinate the logistics and operations. At the moment, this is a logistics and operations game. Whoever could do that well, it's almost like you need to have a central nervous system to get data from everywhere. And then you need to have a brain to process it. And then you need to have this signal going out to see what you're supposed to lift your arm or you lift your leg right now. You know, so you need that entire system working. So if you don't have one, you should set it up very quickly, because this thing's going to last for a while.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor Wang.
Thank you so much, Jason, for joining us. I believe it's early evening there in West Coast. I'm sure we'll meet sometimes at some point of time in person. And welcome back to visit Tainan at your time of convenience.
I will. Thank you.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stay on
Bye-bye.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Session 1, Building Academic Resilience in Response to COVID-19, Case Report of Universities' Measures in Asia. Session Chair, Professor Huizhen Jenny Su, President of NCKU and Chairperson of SATU President's Forum. Greetings from Political Deputy Minister Meng Qiliu, Ministry of Education, Taiwan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, 市长，谢谢. Thank you very much. We are here and all very, very clear.
Thank you, and dear President, to all colleagues and from Global and SATU partners, I am very happy to be invited to join this forum, and especially, can you hear me?
Yes, we could,
Yes,
but we
clearly.
cannot see you.
You cannot see me, so how about now?
Could you turn on the camera of your device?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we see you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'm talking from office in the Ministry of Education, and we just have a meeting, talking about how to deal with the problem of, about our entrance exam. Anyway, I am very happy to be invited to join this forum. Especially I have to thank our President Xu. I have to mention one thing, National Cheng Kung University had helped our ministry a lot since the beginning of this pandemic in making decisions and providing some very important advices. And we all know that March 11, the WHO declared COVID-19 as a pandemic. And we know this pandemic so far had already deeply impacted our daily life worldwide, such as travel ban, work and learn from home, city lockdowns, and so forth. And we know that Taiwan is very near mainland China, and in the beginning, it was predicted that we would be hit very hard by COVID-19. However, we set up early prevention measures since this January, and although we still have a lot of problems and issues to deal with, thanks to the efforts of our people, our governmental agencies, our dedicated medical professionals, and very close private-public collaboration, Taiwan has quite successfully prevented a major outbreak of COVID-19 so far. In summary, Taiwan had quickly taken effective nationwide prevention measures. For example, we set up the Central Academic Command Center CECC to make decisions and take actions quickly and transparently. And early travel restrictions and quarantine protocols, such as regular checkup and isolated quarantine residents for high-risk travelers. One thing is very important. we set up procedure to mass production and efficient distribution of medical face masks to make sure that face masks are sufficient and fully affordable, both for hospitals and the general public. And on the campus, the Ministry of Education requested each school to follow the guidelines from the CCC and proactively propose effective measures to fight against this pandemic, which include we delayed the 2020 spring semester for 2 weeks so that our schools can make better preparation. We provide distance learning approaches for those students who are unable to enter Taiwan this semester. We prepare online courses in advance and plans for possible school closing in case that some students or teachers are tested positive. Every school monitors students and teachers' body temperature daily, and the ministry has provided each school additional face masks, disinfection alcohol, and sanitizers. We request all students and teachers keep social distance or wear face masks in school and wash their hands frequently. And we keep track of students and the teachers' travel history, especially after a long holiday. For this forum, we are more than happy to share experience on fighting against the pandemic with other countries. I hope that we can work together and get through this difficult period soon. Last but not least, I would like to thank National Cheng Kung University for organizing this forum. I look forward to seeing all participants having a great time sharing insightful ideas. I firmly believe that this forum will make a very significant contribution and assistance to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. You can hear we have a big plot, a round of applause for you. But thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you,
we will summarize what we have concluded from the discussion today and look forward to have the support and other resources coming from the Ministry of Education for all the university efforts. Thank you, Deputy Minister Liu. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome to stay online if you have time.
I have a lot of meeting to attend.
See you later. Okay, good. Okay.
Confronting COVID-19 pandemic in higher education, a NCKU experience by Professor Hui-Zhen Jenny Su, President of National Cheng Kung University and Chairperson of SATU President's Forum. Professor Su, please.
Okay, thank you. For friends who are now online, and in the interest of time, I will go very quickly, just offer you a brief overview as what the university had to do in the past few months in confronting this century pandemic. Next, please. Thank you. Can I have the next slide? Okay, good. COVID-19 certainly has caught us off guard in many ways. Today, the confirmed cases globally and the death tolls continue to rise. Taiwan, at the time of we are holding this conference and we are speaking, is meeting our greatest challenge ever since the beginning of this pandemic. But is this going to be the last time that we have to meet these challenges? Probably not. If you look at the history, just about a century ago, when the Spanish flu was a global phenomenon, here in Taiwan, about 20% of the islanders in 1918 alone were infected, and more than 20,000 died. So you look at the lower, left lower button of the cartoon, it's what we draw, and that's during the Japanese colonization. But certainly, we have to see how we continue and what have we learned. Next, please. Next, please. No, not this one. Okay. So what is the no, the previous one? The previous one. The previous one. 我下一张是那个 UNESCO 的。好，没有关系。那个对 UNESCO 的是这一张，没关系。不要一直给我动，那我怎么讲？现在是怎样？回去 UNESCO 那一张，谢谢。好 ，move back. Could I have? 新班怎么回事？好 ，Yes, okay. Sorry, I couldn't control the slides myself, so it's a bit lag there. But I want to just to give you a very quick and up-to-date statistic. This is how education is affected during this pandemic. According to UNESCO, at this point of time, there's more than 1 billion of the learners are affected for education, for their regular and routine education. And that's about 90% of the total enrollment from the world. So NCKU, as an important and critical higher education sector in Taiwan, we determined when we were challenged by this issue, we'll keep our campus life as vital for as long as possible with our efforts. Next one. And because we do have students from all over the world, at any point of the time, it's more than 12% of our total student population, and it's coming from about 80 or more different countries. Next one. And we do also have students going all over the world as well, and for their exchange program, for their dual degree study, for their voluntary service and even for their internship. So we determined the next one, just to make sure that we are able to get everyone to welcome every foreign students in safely, and to make sure they have enough assurance in terms of campus life and regular activity. We also want to make sure we will be able to bring everyone back, our local students, when they were abroad, to be safely and housed in our university and campus for study. So as you see, this is a very quick summary of our timeline since the day. You probably remember January 23rd was the Wuhan city announced the lockdown. So very quickly on January 24th, the university emergency team was first established in the medical center. Now it's approaching 3 months, but we are meeting 7:30 every morning to have a coordinated effort, and that's what Professor Jason Wang had mentioned, always needed top-level coordinated effort to make sure everyone is connected. But also, as the Deputy Minister mentioned, January 31st, we were the first in the country to announce that we would have a 2-week postpone in our opening date for our semester. And this is before the Ministry of Education announced their decision. Why was it 2 weeks long? Because there's definitely a scientific support behind that to justify, to make sure that we have at least 2-week buffer time zone and a sort of likely incubation period for all the students and faculty return from overall. You see, there's a mandatory university-wide questionnaire survey that was sent to every faculty and students to document their travel history from day one. Version 1 was to make sure that we have a complete profile for the winter vacation. Version 2 comes along to make sure that they were highlighted for special region. I also want to bring your attention to this third part. That's the plan for, no, not the next slide. Stay on this one. Stay on the place. On the January 16th, we also announced and advised to make sure all the faculty travel aboard, or who had traveled for a flight hours longer than 10 would be staying home for at least 1 week before they return to the campus. And on February 20th, we were also calculated what was the appropriate social distance for the classroom, for the other indoor sort of facility, to make sure that the university infrastructure would begin to reform, begin to readjust. Stuff like that go on, and therefore there's a complete system system in place from an infrastructure level, from a management level, as well as from the guideline and standard operating procedure level to be sent to every student and faculty for them to be fully engaged in our effort. Next one. So this is the organization chart. Top down, this is the steering committee, and then chaired by me and the other deputy VP and so forth. But very luckily, we do have the medical support from our hospital. We meet regularly on a day-to-day basis so that we can issue before the other announcement by the government. And the entire objective was to make sure that students, staff and faculty, and our campus life, as well as the new smart medicine can facilitate in view of the rising number of returning student staff so that we can quickly screen them and make sure that they are well facilitated. And finally, we do pay attention to the communication across different sectors, including our community. And that's how we've been exercising and implementing over the past few months. Next one. And as you have seen, this is a very critical from day one. Chinese website, English website. On that, underneath that, every office in the university would have the specific extension number for students and faculty to inquire about the detail of changes, alternatives, flexibility in study, research, and their travel, as well as their home quarantine if necessary. We soon have this complete booklet become the template and support for the ministry when they have to issue nationwide guidance for the other university to copy. Next one. So very quickly, I want to give you a few highlights. For everything that we do in the university, every measure would have two components that highlight and illustrate the spirit of a research-intensive university. That's every decision we make would have a scientific evidence to support and justify, including how we train the staff before they go on board, including how we would have a different time layout and arrangement for the shower time, the daily dietary schedule for those who are staying in the dorm. And we have our own wearable gadgets to make sure that the detailed temperature for every individual were monitored so that we can be alerted for early prevention. We also pay attention to make sure that humanity consideration was brought into all these measures so that, for instance, the group support, the attention from the leaders, and the peer consultation whenever they have to be put in any position for either assignment or emergent task. But so a line of a whole bunch, a cluster of all the guidelines and book or the other instruction were put together on the website. Next one. On the other hand, was the concern and the establishment of corresponding software and hardware. For instance, this is a lot of adjustment to make sure every single course in the university from day one will be made available on dual mode. Whenever or as long as there's a single student who are affected to have to stay away from the classes or from the classroom, they will be put in connection with a different mode of education, either through concurrent synchronous online, or that would be cut up or made up in the follow-up distance learning program. On the hardware, it's a lot of detailed, up-to-date arrangement for registration of the travel path. For instance, every chair and every indoor building facility was coded so that students and faculty can easily register their positioning and their moveabouts when they are at university. Along with that, then we can have them be placed in the proper spaces for proper distance whenever necessary. And this is just a different line of approaches, the way we summarize our efforts. The next one. And the final part is how hospital become a very important support for the community, for our greater city. Not only as a national medical center, we were the first to set up the outdoor Q station to make sure that we have the least worry for nosocomial nosocomial contamination potential. Different lines of smart medicine was put in the day one so that we can also make it available for other colleagues from different parts of the world, different parts of the country to share. Finally, different languages of the questionnaire in the automated inquiry and survey was put, including Thai, Malaysian, Japanese, Korean, and I think there's also French and other languages in day one. And that really brings the community together. Live stream communication and broadcast was put together by students, by faculty, and town hall meeting was also held to communicate some tough decisions so that there would be a support and coordinated effort at the end of our design measures. So that's how we are able to really survive and manage our activity up to this day. The last slide, finally, I think this is the day now, if you come to NCKU, you will still be able to see students conducting their research club, their classroom, their outdoor activity. Our foreign students are well informed and well placed in the facility, in the classroom, and in their own community. In a way, I like to think that with your friendship, with the partnership that we are able to together, university will continue to carry our mission. That's to cast the light of our knowledge. That's to make sure that we are able to embrace the grace of humanity at the time of greatest difficulty for everyone on the world to be challenged by. So that would be my very, very brief overview, and I see President Nagata is there with your university flag, and warm regards from here in NCKU. And so that will be it for my session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Panel of invited speakers. Key features of the talk: guidance of school management, distance learning solutions, supplementary measures, and others. Speaker, Professor Kyosuke Nagata, President of the University of Tsukuba, Japan. Professor, you may start, please.
Okay, can you hear me, everybody?
Yes, we hear you.
All right, anyway, thank you very much, Sue. And thank you for your inviting us to the this well-organized TV system symposium. And also, I'd like to say thank your government for sending the masks for the Japanese people. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you for joining.
Today, I would like to tell you or giving you that some slides as the president, university president, and as the special virologist used to be. Okay, and the next slide, please. And this slide just summarizes that what University of Tsukuba is doing right now, and then we summarize information for the student. We provide this information to the student as well as the staff and faculty members. For example, we postpone their courses 1 month later compared with the regular calendars. And we will start from the April 27th. Usually we start April 1st, but we postponed 1 month. And also basically all the courses will be provided through online systems, and so that no direct meeting between students and professors. And also administrators divided in 2 groups and called 2 shift system. So one team is working for several days, then the other team replace this first team to work in the university if this is necessary for the people. Okay, next slide. And as a biologist, I can explain the some nature of the COVID-19. And this phylogenetic tree was calculated by the 3,000 patient COVID genome sequences. And this show you definitely that the COVID-19 was originated from Wuhan, and the mutation is accumulating. And then finally, recently, the new type of strain emerged in Wuhan too. And prior to the going to the United States, this COVID-19 was transmitted into Europe countries at the green clusters. Then the COVID-19 has the mutations in the Europe countries, then transmitted in United States. And simultaneously, the same type of mutation took place in the Wuhan type of the original strains, shown by red, so that the mutation direction is the same way. Even the mutation occur in European countries, even in China. So maybe this is sort of the natural selection in COVID-19. And then now we have to think what kind of mutation the COVID-19 will get. That's a problem. Next slide, please. And this slide summarizes some information that I got the meeting called University Leaders Dialogues on the COVID-19, supported by the World Economic Forum on April 8th. In that forum, there were probably more than 50 presidents or vice presidents of the universities all over the world. And I picked up two things just on the typical opinions. One is from the Pennsylvania State University. The most important concerns of the Penn State is the student mental health care issues. And the students in the Penn State are really concerned about the physical care, and as well as the mental care. So that we try to set up that system for these mental issues. And the other thing is the other opinion is from the university in South Africa. Amazingly, they say that this COVID-19 infection is one of the potential opportunity to enhance open access online or e-learning content to the poor student in South Africa. So the situation is very different. US, education is rich for the student, but in South Africa, still education is limited, the people. So they took this time or this occasion to extend the higher education system into even the poor students. What is going on in Japan? And everybody in the world is concerned why Japanese government or Japanese system is not controlling well of the social systems. Well, I can tell you that the reasons. There is no article description in the Constitution of Japan about emergency responses. So that the present law may not allow any type of the restriction to the people, okay, because there is no article in the Constitution. Thus, the government cannot publish, order, or obey, just but request to the people. This is due to our Constitution. Therefore, our government always requested something or asking the people something. They never obey, they never order to the people, okay? So therefore, we have to think ethically. We have to think their responsibility. We have to think there are many things and the basis of the people's discussing or people's sharing concept. Okay, next slide, please. Again, I'll give you that scientific perspectives. In Japan, right now, the government recommend that people try to cut off their people contact less than 80 or 70%. This graph is made by the Professor Nakamura of our universities. However, this graph is simply identified by the chemical kinetics and equilibriums. If an infectious disease shall be decreased or aborted, the contact frequency among the people should be controlled at a level less than 30% or 20% compared with the normal level. And if you keep the contact frequency more than 40% or 50%, 60%, so you never abort of the infectious diseases. This is not only for the COVID-19, but also some other infectious agents. So please just remember, if you will have some difficult things in infectious diseases in terms of controlling, now you prohibit the people to move in the society, of course. And this is the mathematical basis for the restraints of the people's activities. Next slide, please. And instead of the real treatment or measures of our universities, I would like to emphasize of the some important things in terms of the paradigm shift in thinking. And Sue already looked back at the Spanish flu. Of course, we experienced that. And we experienced that Japanese experienced that the March 11th in 2011. And we experienced the triple disasters, Great East Japan earthquake, and tsunami, and Fukushima nuclear accident. Based on that, we realized that hopelessness against the natural disasters, and we lose the confidence in the science and technology. At that time, Japan experienced that the paradigm shift from belief to doubt on science and technology. Then we resort the science and technology in, and not only in academic activities, but also the social activities. And what's happened right now? So next slide. For research and education, now we have to understand there are some sort of the paradigm shift of globalization. We are recognizing what's happening in a globalized society, and we are feeling many things right now where we have to share many things irrespective of what is good or bad. What was the globalization? We experienced many things. But for example, we must consider whether democracy or dictatorship is effective for academic as well as the economic activities. Of course, democracy sometimes cannot prohibit some specific activities, but we have a chance to discuss to improve the many things. So we have to understand, or we have to discuss whether democracy or dictatorship is effective for their academic and economic activities. And how do we maintain our originality and academic freedoms? Sometimes academic freedom is prohibited under these infectious diseases, but still we are academicians, so that we have to keep the academic activities based on academic freedom. And finally, how shall we bring forward academic activity in a globalized society? We are now experiencing of the digital transformation is very effective. For example, this meeting and the so-called, which is called in Society 5.0 in Japan. But probably this transformation has unexpected effect for their science and academic activities. Therefore, I would like to recommend or suggest to you to discuss with us here, what is the globalization? What is the changing and the globalized society right now? Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much for a well-structured and quite inspiring initiation on forming the discussion points for our next gathering. We do have experience, but I think in the question and response time, we would have our sharing on how we have responded to the whole thing. We probably want to move on to the next speaker, right, from Vietnam, and then we will join for a discussion.
Yeah.
Professor Yong Zulina of University of Malaya couldn't join this meeting under very short notice. The panel goes to the next speaker. Professor Fang Le An, Director of the Family Medicine Training Center and Director of Grant and Innovation Center, University of Medicine and Pharmacy at Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
Yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes. Could you turn on your camera, please? We couldn't see you.
Okay. Yeah. Turn on.
Yes. Good morning and a good day too.
Hello. They say I'm not there, no? How come?
Yeah. Can you see our PowerPoint?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Oh, okay.
One more try. It was fine earlier this morning, right? It was very smooth. Are you okay? Are you okay now?
Yeah, please wait a moment. Maybe you can the next one first. I will try to the physics. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There are more than 100 people, friends, are viewing from YouTube. How is our friend from Ho Chi Minh City?
Yeah. John. Okay.
Professor An, could you start? Go ahead, start your speech.
Yes.
Even without the screen. We can hear you.
Thank you.
Now go ahead, start, and then we will bring the images or the screens back anytime we can. How's that? Can you hear us? Professor An? You want to try Mahidong first, maybe? What do you think?
University of Malaya is here.
Professor An, can we suggest that we change the order of the speech, and you can come back later after the next speech? Is that all right with you?
Write a text message. I think we should switch to Mahidong. How is that? Let's switch to Thailand first.
Yes, the next speaker is
will
ready.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you later, Professor An. Speaker, Assistant Professor Napol Pasawasta Acting Assistant to the President for Academic Affairs, Mahidol University, Thailand. Professor, you may start, please.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes. You hear me clearly?
Very well. Good morning, Bangkok.
We are all ready.
Yes. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank that you invite Mahidol University to join this webinar event. Thank you very much. Okay, you see the slide?
Yes. We see the slide. We see the slide well.
Okay, thank you. Before I start, I would like to share the information about the Mahidol University, that we have 35 departments, including faculties, colleges, and other institutions beside the Mahidol University. And we have 364 programs altogether. And during the pandemic, I think in Thailand, we knew about the pandemic at the end of December, and it started, we have the infected people around January, but it's not that many people infected with this virus. And if you can see at the bottom of the slide that our semester, the second semester, started from January, and it's going to be around June or end of May. So the pandemic is happened in Thailand about February and March, that we think that we're going to change our paradigm or change our way of teaching and learning. At the middle of the March, I think it's the beginning of the March, we have the midterm examination. And that time, we started to have few, almost 50 infected people around Thailand. But the university still operate as the same. We still have the examination in the classroom in the university. At that time, we have the guidance for our students to take care of themselves, to do self-quarantine if they have any symptom or traveling from other countries. And we have also the temperature check before entering the examination rooms, providing the alcohol gels, and we also allow the re-examination, rescheduling for the student who cannot join the examination. It is a rapid change in the middle of March, actually, because in the beginning of March, we still do not plan exactly when we're going to shift our teaching paradigms. But we started to provide the announcement, the university announcement about the new way of teaching and learning, that we're going to do it online if university have to be closed. But on around the 14th of March, the government suggests that all school and university in Thailand has to be closed and shift the teaching and learning activity to online. So we decided to start the online teaching on the 15th of March and stop all the classroom teaching at the time. And at the next day, March 16, we conduct the training that teach our staff to use the online teaching tools, calling the WebEx meeting that we're using right now. But we still have to face another problem. It is the final exam on the end of May. Our first announcement, we require our faculties, teachers, lecturers, and students to shift their teaching and learning to online. We have two ways of online teaching. It is live demonstration, just like this, and pre-recorded teaching session using the learning management system. For the Mahidol University, we have the learning management system, namely MUX or Mahidol University Extension for the Mahidol University itself. But for other faculties, they also have their own learning LMS, and mostly they use the Moodle software. We also encourage our lecturer or faculties to do the formative evaluation using the MUX or the learning management system, which is the Moodle. And we also encourage our faculties to communicate to their own students before the paradigm shift or the teaching and learning activity change to be online. That they have to inform their own student what type of software they use. They have to practice their own student. And also they have to pre-record it or do any type of feedback or examination in the learning management system. For the staff support and student support, we 3 units working together closely, providing the LMS software, the media storage, e-learning service, as well as the WebEx, Microsoft Teams, and virtual private network. This is the picture of when we have the trainer sessions for using the WebEx. We invite staff, technical staff from all faculties to learn how to use WebEx, and they go back to their own faculties and to teach the others, including the lecturer as well. And it's happened very quickly. We have to do it in just like one day to finish it and make it happen very rapidly. And we also produce a lot of infographics to educate about the online learning, on teaching to our staff, including academic staff, technical staff, and also the student, how to make use of the learning management system. We also provide the online courses to our lecturers, how they use the learning management system, how can they design the online courses. With the tools and technology we adopt many kind of technology, including WebEx meeting, the learning management system, Google applications, Microsoft Office, and other learning management system. And from the technology adopted, we can see that in Mahidol University, the WebEx meeting is the most popular one, following with other synchronous learning activity, which is live demonstration, live lectures. Maybe it is really similar to what we do in the classroom. But if you see in the right-hand side of the graph that the asynchronous learning system is less popular because it has to prepare before the learning and teaching session a lot. For the WebEx usage, you can see that we have the maximum at 300 sessions a day. And it is, we have more than 4,100 attended to the WebEx meeting. And it's going to be busy from 7 a.m. in the morning. And it's going to be getting lower at 5 p.m. afternoon. So you can see that during the daytime, nowadays, the WebEx usage for teaching and learning, including the meeting inside the university as well. This is the data usage of the Microsoft Teams, a lot less than WebEx meeting in comparison. For the learning management system of the Mahidol University, or Mahidol University Extension or MUX, you can see that on the left-hand side, either mux.mahidol.ac.th. This we use for the internal teaching and learning activity. Before the pandemic, we have students on the platform more than 20,000 students from 30,000 students. So we have a lot of students using this platform already. But interestingly, on the right-hand side, the MOOC, our learner is not student who registered with the University is the learner who is the Thai people around the countries, because we also provide the knowledge for them as well. And you can see that, the number of learners dramatically increasing from 40,000 to almost 200,000 learners on the platform. And for the Moodle in Faculty of Medicine is also increasing to use during the pandemic. We also provide special support for our students and staff. The Mahidol University provide free internet package to the student, 3 months paid for our students. And there are more than 8,000 students registered to use this SIM card. And we also provide the health insurance to our own students and the staff as well. And they will get around 50,000 baht if they affected. Also, we provide 600 scholarships for our students during the pandemic. For work from home, we also provide more access to the virtual private network to our staff and students, and increase the license account for WebEx and Microsoft Teams to make the teaching and learning online more convenient. We also do the survey to our students after we started the online learning, and we found that they're still not happy with the online learning that much. We have to improve to make them understand the content in the online learning, because when compared to the classroom, they're still not happy with the online learning. The communication between instructor and student also, we have to improve. The test assessment method, also some of the subjects or program do a little bit of the test and assessment online, and students still not happy with that. But on the other hand, this is opposite. Students are very happy with the document provided in the system. But physical and mental health, they are still not happy. But we have a small survey with the small group of the students whether they would like to do the exam online or not. And interestingly, even though they do not happy with the online teaching and learning, but they still prefer to do the examination online. Continue online teaching, of course, the pandemic still here in Bangkok, Thailand. And we challenging all the class to use e-learning. Could be WebEx, Microsoft Teams, UX, Moodle, anything, to continue that teaching and learning. But okay, some of practical subject is very hard to do. We also agree that we can provide the credit incomplete in this semester, and hope that the next semester we can fix the problem. We're planning for the assessment that we're going to continue our assessment in May using the online platform, but can be more flexible schedules. Also, we allow our faculties to use the grading Satisfy and Unsatisfy S and U instead of letter grades A, B, C, D, and F. And with the practical exam, we can use the incomplete if we cannot do the practical exam. And we can do the re-exam as much as possible if the faculties need to do for the benefit of our own students. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Napol. It was certainly a lot of information and already very, very concrete follow-up and evaluation on students' learning proficiency. So we will see how we can go about and learn from what you have already done. I'm told that friends from University of Malaya is now available already online, right?
Yes, our colleague from University of Malaya is ready for their speech. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Speaker,
Hello.
Professor.
A very good morning to Professor Jenny. I'm Yong from University Malaya. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Good morning.
Morning. First of all, my friends from University Malaya, Professor Awang, Professor Camila, Norsada, send their warm regards to you.
Mine
And,
too. Yes, mine. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, once again, thank you for inviting us to in this webinar. And also, I would like to welcome all the colleagues from the SATU Association. So what I'm going to share with you is something that we have done at the university. So I'm just focusing at the teaching and learning as well as the internationalization, which is under my portfolio. Can you just share my slides?
Uploading, I think, pretty soon.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to focus that. Yeah. So for Malaysia as a whole, the experience, the impact of COVID-19 actually, for us as the university started in January when we first took in the students from China under the one semester exchange. So that's where we first formed the task force. How do we go about receiving students from China, and how for us to be very sure that the campus is safe? So that was our utmost concern at that point in time in January. What happened with that is that we have actually changed the academic session in which it enabled the students from China to actually observe the 2 weeks quarantine period. And we actually changed the start of an academic session where the local students will come back to campus as soon as the quarantine period has actually finished. So that was the first experience. That was the first task force. How do we go about handling if we have a positive case and things like that? And we are very blessed because the Faculty of Medicine and the hospital is very near to us. Okay, so please, the next slide. Okay. Can I have the next slide, please? Next slide, please. So for Malaysia...
Professor, could you scroll the page on your side? We couldn't make a change here.
Oh, I couldn't find mine as well. Okay, down. Okay. Okay, for us in Malaysia, our first lockdown was actually in March, on the 18th March. Is there anything there? No? On the 18th March, so we get the announcement from the government. There is a 2 weeks of MCO, which is the Movement Control Order, where all schools shut down, all universities shut down, everybody has got to be working from home. It also means for us in Malaysia, the MCO means there is no such thing as going out for an hour of sports or an hour of doing unnecessary things. And when we go out for groceries, it's only for one person and you have to be wearing the face mask and things like that. And of course, the hand sanitizer, having it there all the time. So now on the 18th March, that was the first round of the MCO, and for us, our great concern was the well-being of our students. When the announcement was made, quite a number of students actually booked their flights, booked their buses to actually be going home. So there was an exodus of students leaving the campus, and there were also a big number of international students on campus. So what we have are some of the students staying on campus and there's some outside the campus. So with regard to, okay, this is the slide, yeah? So now we are in the third round. So in the third round of the MCO, you can see now there is the number of new affected cases actually decreased a lot. In the last 4 weeks, the numbers has been in the form of hundreds. In some days, it has been in the form of 200s. And thank God, yesterday, for the very first time, we do not have any new daily record of death among the COVID-19 patients. Next, please. Next, please. So what's the implication for us? Okay. Can you please move on to the next slide?
Yes, we are working on that. You may
okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so for us, what happens is actually, how do we respond to this? So there's a lot of pockets of stakeholders that we need to be looking at, the students, the staff, and also the third party, the stakeholders. So the implication, the first thing that is always on our mind is the well-being of students. We have different subgroups of students, especially like students who are graduating. This is a final semester. So with this disruption, how do we respond to it? We also have pockets of students who are doing internship abroad and locally, where suddenly they are supposed to be told to be there in that country. In some, they are supposed to be going home. So how do we respond to that? And of course, just like any other universities, we have to move on to a different way of delivering teaching and learning that is on online learning. That's the first implication. The second one is identifying how do we go about changing the academic calendar. So for us, we work very closely with the Ministry of Higher Education as how do we go about finding the right time to start. Because at that point in time, imagine in the first 2 weeks, we weren't really sure whether there is going to be a taper down of the new cases. So we have to work on different scenarios, on different academic calendar where we can actually resume the classes. This also takes into our great concern is the disruption of some of the programs where by nature itself, it is a lab-based, where in which it is required for students to undergo the practical training, such as students from the medicine, dentistry, and sciences. And of course, the last one, if we are going on to the 100% online learning, how the system support? Is it able to cater for all of the courses in one go? What would be the traffic like? What would be the disruption like? What would be the challenges? Yeah. So these are the things that we had to look at over the last 4 weeks or so, where we have engagement with so many stakeholders. How do we go about finding the solutions? So for us, if I can identify the greatest challenge for at the university is number one is the e-learning. I think everybody has got their own e-learning platform, but what is very important for us is the internet accessibility. For the past 4 weeks, for the past 5 weeks, we have never had to run so many surveys because we want to make sure that everybody's concern is taken into account. So we had, I think, 3 series of surveys reaching out to students to find out what are the problems, how do we go about helping them, and where are they located, and things like that. The next one also, we reach out to staff. How do they get access to internet? Because in some academic staff, in one household, there is only one computer where shared by 7 or 8 people because their children has got to attend classes and things like that. So there's a big challenge there. And also, similar like Chulalongkorn, we looked at the possibility of changing the grading system because when we get the feedback from students, e-learning is it's a new ball game for some of the students. Yes, we do have done e-learning, but only short periods for 2 weeks. And then after that, we move on to the face-to-face. So we need to get the students, their readiness, how well do they adapt to the 100% online learning. Another great concern is our inclusive policy in which when we go for 100% online learning, no students are left behind. So how do we ensure that when we go for 100% online learning on Monday next week, everybody got the document, everybody are able to participate. How do they actively participate? How do we go about making sure that the attendance are recorded and things like that? And also, the COVID-19 has actually has impacted a lot economically in all countries. So we are also concerned on our graduates. What are the future set skills that they need to have when they go out perhaps in 2021, which are the areas, which are the economic sector that they can actually benefit based from this. Another one that we find it quite challenging is stakeholders' acceptance. So we have been reaching out to different bodies from the engineering, for the medical accreditation bodies, the MQA requirement, sponsorship bodies, especially students who are on sponsors, international students, when we try to change the grade from instead of from pass to fail, it has actually implication on their sponsorship bodies. And last but not least, on the internationalization. We have, when we describe internationalization, it's all about physical mobility, it's all about experiential learning, as well as having a number of international students on campus. So these actually change the whole ball game. How do we go about responding to internationalization? So my last one would be the implication. The things that we have learned from this COVID-19 is that it is extremely necessary for the management, for the university as a whole, to respond in a very different way from the norm. This is a new norm. When we finished our MCO on the 28th, when we go back to work, quote unquote, on the 29th, there will be a new norm. So we have to be few steps ahead. What is the new norm? Then another one that is very important to us is the scenario planning. So we looked at the data, the information from the internet, what is shared by the WHO. What we have done is with the MCO, it's going to be out there. So we do not want another spike, because some countries, where as soon as the MCO is lifted, suddenly you see a spike. So this is something that we have to work on, different scenarios. Perhaps some has got it a U shape, a V shape, and L shape. So we have to have them all ready for the short term as well as the long term. So for the short term that we are looking at are the teaching and learning, the well-being of students, the students' enrollment, research, the financial implication, and so forth. And of course, the long term, what is actually a new norm? What would be our new goals? In the past, for the 14 years since 2006, being in the QS ranking, number of publications, that was our interest, research. But now with COVID-19, is it still the same goal? So we have to redefine our goals, our aim, our direction, and in fact, new models as how do we run about higher education. So that's pretty much that I would like to share. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, thank you. There are certainly a lot of points that we can all share and have a lot of our own sentiment in terms of based on the experiences of the past few months. Dr. Nagata in the very beginning talked about the remaining the academic freedom and independence. But again, Yang, you talk about the resources, you know, for institutions like us. Very much of the resources supporting and facilitating the academic independence for research and for teaching will be coming from a lot of industrial support, industrial presence of their resources. And it's going to be a big hit and hit very, very hard from this round of the economic impact after 2020. So how would those elements and those considerations brought into redesigning the university portfolio in terms of our time spent, our evaluation benchmark, and so forth. There's a lot of homework and it's a lot of challenges for each and every one of us. But I am totally inspired by each and every one of your inputs so that we can organize and better structure our next gathering, likely online and virtual again, but it certainly will be exciting after we have all your inputs. Okay, I'm happy finally Ho Chi Minh City is connected, right?
Yes.
So we would have Professor An from Ho Chi Minh City.
Professor Phan Le An from UPN is ready to give his talk. Professor, you may start, please. Professor, you may start, please. Can you hear us?
We are ready. We are ready. How about his microphone?
We see the image, but we couldn't hear you.
Talk? Hello? Can we send him a message? Yeah. Okay. Hello? Yeah, Professor Fong? Can you talk? No， 他写我们 Can you hear no？ 给他写回去 no。他刚刚写说 Can we hear no？ Hello。今天下午的恐怕那个档案都要先弄。
Yes, we see you. We see
有
you
人给他
very
写吗
clearly.
We see you, cannot hear you. 好 ？No? No? 你说 Hello. 咚咚咚
They couldn't hear us. 他听不到我们。
Can you hear me? Yes. Can you talk? Hello. 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 Yes, 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 yes. Hello.
Hello, can you
Wonderful.
hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay, yeah. You can
Okay,
hear me?
okay.
Okay, yes, thank you. At last minute.
Yes, please.
Yeah, can you see our...
Everyone.
Yeah, here we are. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I am representative for UMP in Vietnam to share with you the response in emergency crisis and other. Yeah. Now we are dealing with the pandemic and very dangerous spread in all the world. And on the country until now, we have 268 confirmed cases and 0 deaths. And that's the pandemic and global nightmare for our life and also our economy. Yes. And all we know that the situation now, that the RNA, that the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and they have the incubation period and also very dangerous situation in acute and mild phase, and also in the severe case. And in the picture, we look now that we have the spread of the people from F0 to F4. And if they stay at home or we isolated them, we can prevent the spread in the community. As much in metro, in bus and supermarket, also in the school. And now, the pandemic in the new virus, we recognize that we started the first with the air, we recognize the air zero from 2.2, but the new study, they published that the air zero value at 5.7. That's the reason why we confused about the herd immunity. And also, we have the overload of the logistics in healthcare, in ICU, that cause the high death cases. And also, the high contagious and spread in community. That based on the way the hand contaminate to touch the nose and the mouth. And also we recognize the characteristic of RNA COVID-19 virus, that they have a surface. We can use some method to decontaminate them in the surface. For example, we use the sauce or the H2O2 ethanol, and also hand washing policy. And also they track by mask. So we use the policy of wearing the mask, the surgical mask also. And also they spread in clouds in the mask even. That's the reason why we selected the social distancing policy. And also in our country, we use the apps for registering the high-risk group. That means that we try to isolate the F0 to F4 as soon as possible. And also, we identify the high-risk group, they return from COVID-infected area. That's the same solution that isolated F0 to F4. In the case of pathophysiology, that the virus, they attack the ACE2 receptor. They're most abundant in type 2 alveolar cell of the lung. That cause very soon that the lung vasoplasia. And also, very characteristic, the lower of PaO2, and also with down dyspnea. That's very important sign at the first phase. We have to recognize them. So we can use the high flow of oxygen, and also a non-invasive strategy for ventilation. And in the case they have the cytokine storm, in the severe case, we need to use the ECMO as soon as possible. And for priority, because in Vietnam, we are in low middle income countries and very limited of resources. So we selected the priority for preventive solution. We have some advantage. For example, we have a high temperature in the south. We have more individual transportation than the metro or the bus. We have more population with the BCG vaccination. And also, in the past time, we have a very severe case bacteria with cytokine storm that we have experience for ECMO. And on Earth, the population and army, we agree with the government policy that we join in as soon as possible. And this advantage that can make us slower of economical situation. And we hope that we have a vaccine, but in later phase. The treatment now, we have many of strategy from chloroquine, azithromycin, ivermectin stem cell, remdesivir, tocilizumab, and also serum of patient improved from COVID. It's fine to use. And how about the UMP that I have to present to you on the strategy in Vietnam? And UMP, for UMP, for medical station, we decided because we have the isolated strategy. And in our small, we have to plan 3 days before students return to UMP. After that ceremony, from January, we identified the risk of COVID infected from F0 to F4 by using the survey. We use the app from the web base, and 5,000 students joined this survey. And if the result is positive, that they have some close contact with F0 or F1, we send the result to 7 faculty offices, and they will call the students or the staff to confirm the result. And also we train them self-isolation or go to hospital for the treatment. And also we follow and report to UMP COVID task force. And they also report to high-level COVID in people committee in the Ho Chi Minh City. And the result that we have 121 student staff declare that they have an epidemiology risk or they have a symptom like the COVID-19 disease. I'm very happy that that's just a risk, but all of them are negative result with the test, serum test. And also we call all of them after we announced that very dangerous situation. We call all of them, they stay at home. They have to follow this and for social distancing. We plan to clean the university, classroom, study place, and student dormitory. We give the information to hand washing, wearing the mask, and knowledge of COVID-19 in public area. We also put the alcohol-based hand washing solution in front of classroom, lab room, study place, evaluator, and ask students to wash their hands frequently. That's the policy. We will be sure the water in in toilet 24/7 with the soft. We also use a lot of media channel such as Facebook and web to train about COVID-19 for students and staff. The family doctor will support the training stream COVID-19 during trainings for students and staff. On the strategy, also, not only for the students, they also involved on the working group in our UMP. For example, we train the clean worker to do the right way with the checklist. We train the security guard on how to measure body temperature, wash the hand, and wearing the mask correctly. And also train them self-protect how to find the help from medical providers. And GIC, that Grant and Innovation Center, we try to develop the guideline for the students when they go to the hospital for practice. And the second phase, when the student return to UMP, we continue to train them about the TAB prevention COVID-19 for all students. We train them how to monitor the health and medical reporting when suspected COVID-19 for students. And also we ensure that students know on the channel, for example, medical station, faculty office, and affiliated unit. And very important, students have to report online medical every day. And also we remind them to have to go mouthwash with some solution, for example, Listerine, betadine, for example, every day at their home. We also developed the guideline for isolated case related COVID-19 to agree with how to handle COVID-19. And for the faculty staff, we remind them and we teach them how to wear the mask and washing, working in the temperature higher than 27 degrees, and in social distancing, working online, teaching group working from the March 9, 2020. And if they work in the hospital, they have to use their PPE or protect themselves first. We use the meeting online. And also, like the other university in the area, as Mahidol, Malaya, we teaching online, we use the Zoom or Microsoft Teams for e-learning. And also, we use e-mentor for use the K-based and electronic medical record to teach them a little bit about the practice. And GIC, we train in the frugal innovation for helping protecting COVID-19 online. We use the course for 3D printing. And also, we try to survey after we use the teaching online. They use the software, the interaction is 79.6%. They're watching the clip, 53.7%, and other preparation is the 3%. And how long they should online session take, and you see, and ask them in 45 to 90 minutes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and they almost them like to use the online learning. And also the disadvantage, you see, they cannot teach the critical skill, and also, and we try to publish some research about the knowledge attitude among healthcare and among the students. And if our e-mentor, we use the smart TVs and the screen here to teach them how to modulate and also. And we try to use GIC 3D printer to help to print the health protector. And also, you see, we print wearing the mask, and we print the string to wear the mask to reduce the pain. And also, the tool to open the door. That's our presentation. We try a lot in our limited resources. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you all. We have now all the presenters.
Yes,
right?
the panel discussion for session one.
We are a bit over time, but we do have, I think, a few minutes available, either for the inputs from the audience here or from those who are online. Do I see any from here in the audience? Okay, would you coming forward and identify yourself to our panelists. President Nagara at Japan, and then Professor Yang at Kuala Lumpur and Ho Chi Minh City and so forth. So identify yourself first.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. My name is Danny. I'm an international doctoral student in NCKU. And I have questions. My question is, how about the evaluation? Thank you. Okay, my question is, how about the evaluations? I mean that we know that the evaluation is for controlling the quality of academic achievements. So maybe, for the example, the final exams, like a thesis or dissertations, because some of us is in human science, and it's not about only the knowledge, but also the competence. In my opinion, we cannot just move from the experimental study like RCT and maybe another, go to only the review study. Could you share your idea about it? Because some of us is human science, it needs a competence. It needs to keep in touch with the patients, with the humans. So maybe from the Japan, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam have to solve these problems. Thank you.
All the institutions in this session, I think, have hospital and have medical colleges. So why don't we have a quick feedback, starting from maybe Professor Nagara there at Tsukupa, and then followed by Malaya, Mahidong, and Ho Chi Minh City. Yes, please, Professor Nagara.
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't want to answer details, but related to his question, I would like to tell you about problems about online systems in terms of education researches. For example, we need high security. If we can have that tier, a high level of the security, maybe we can, examine or review through the internet system. But without that, we can't do it. And also, sometimes, networking is contaminated with the SNS or fake news or fake something. So therefore, we have to keep, as far as we can keep the security and system, maybe we extend any kind of the difficult things, including reviewing or examinations or something else. So I'd like to tell you about, I can't answer directly to his questions, but I emphasize again that what we have to think and what we are discussing. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, that remains a challenge. Do I have Professor Yong from Kuala Lumpur, University of Malaya? Can you hear me? She is off for now. Can we have Professor Napol from Mahidong? How do you, would you comment on the concerns?
Yes, you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we have been discussing a lot about the examination online, and we also performed some examination during the last month. And for example, we have done the drawing examination.
I tahu. I said, can you hear me? You tak dengar.
The drawing examination.
Professor Yang, you have to wait for me. You have to wait for me. Professor Napol is responding. Yes, continue,
Okay,
please,
all
from Mahido.
Sure.
Okay, for the drawing examination just we have done already is quite easy because we use the student cameras from their mobile phone and capture the pictures from the student using the WebEx just like this. And with not many numbers of students, we can do that. Also, we are going to do another examination at the end of this month is on the basic science subjects. And we're going to use the Moodle, the learning management system, to do the exam, the multiple choice exam and written exam. Also, when do the exam, students have to capture themselves using their video camera on the mobile phone, capture themselves during the time that they do the examination online as well. So we have the picture of student doing the computer examination with the data on the learning management system altogether synchronously. So this way we can make sure that the system is going well and the student cannot do the cheating on the examination. And we also prevent for the internet error if any of student drop out of the connection. So we ask them to connect back immediately. And another way is that we divided our multiple choice questions in a short session. For example, 10 questions at a time, and we just stop, let them submit all the answer for the 10 questions, then start the next session. So if this will make sure that we're gonna get most of the answer from the student. Because if we let them to do the examination, for example, for 50 questions in a row, if we lost their connection, all the answer gonna be gone. We cannot get any of their answer. So we decide to shorten our session and make more session as much as possible. Thank you very much.
Good. I think even for medicine-related topics and evaluation, we certainly can put together another focused session to really share our thoughts and our experiences. Because we have recently just gone through the same challenge with even the entrance level of the test. It's a huge number, and we have to entertain the alternatives and the arising concerns with the pandemic. Therefore, quite a few new system, new methodology, and the new sort of gadgets and sort of safety check process were all put together on that. But this is a certainly very welcomed concerns and very important concern. I will personally follow up in organizing maybe another sort of a dialogue on this very focused issue. That would be my personal interest as well. Could I have Professor Yang from Kuala Lumpur, University of Malaya?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm here.
Yeah, we are fine. We are fine, please.
Okay, right. I think what we have done is very similar to what you have done and also other universities. For us, during the 5-week period that we are on the MCO, there has been quite a number of viva done online successfully. Almost every day, deans are reporting. So things are as normal as it is with regard to having the viva, candidate defense. Things are progressing as if without any disruption, but with 100% online. What the person has actually mentioned, the question raised is very relevant. And yes, for us, we have already collected the data of students that need to be on campus because like I said in my presentation, we have already gotten feedbacks from professional bodies, be it in the medical field, be it in the built environment, how do they go about making sure that the academic program that the students undergo under this unprecedented scenario is accepted. So from their feedback, we realized that in some fields, students do need to go back on campus. We have got the data, so we're going to work on a plan in which that when students come in, it will be staggered. We must not be compromising on the social distancing. We must not be compromising on the safety on campus for all the campus community, be it for staff and also for students. So soon, we will be sharing all that information to the respective students. For students having to do lab, what are the weeks that they have to come in, and what are we have to ensure that they come in by a certain time and leave by a certain time, and to ensure that we monitor their contact tracing, and all in all, we want to minimize the risk. Another one, Mahido has mentioned on the examination. So this is again a new ball game for us, because we are giving the option of academics to execute an alternative assessment. So in the past, we have been running courses for academics to how to go about providing assessment, but it has never been intensified for the past 5 weeks. Almost every day, we have series and series of webinars teaching academics how to engage students. How do we get the attention of students when they're cramped up in their tiny rooms with brothers and sisters around? How do you get the attention of academicians who have to take care of 5 or 6 children in the living room? How do they make sure that they deliver a good content, and how do they engage students? So never in my life as an academician, I've seen so many seminars, so many webinars arranged by our ADAC, which is the Teaching and Learning Center. And I think for the very first time, we work seamless with other universities. For me, it's a very steep learning experience where we learn from each other. So, so that's my stand on that. Thank you.
Okay, good. Finally, can we have input on the same concerns from Ho Chi Minh City UMP? Professor Pham?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. The same with the opinion from our panelists here. I share with you that we use the e-learning combined with e-mentor. E-mentor, that electronic mentoring, and we use the case-based to teach them. Interface, they are in the hospital or they're in the house, the first. And when they go to the hospital, we try to protect them by selecting some very safe condition for them. And they have to wearing the face shield, the mask when they contact with the patient. For examination, very happy that we use the OSCE. In the, we have a simulation center that means that we can use the OSCE to evaluate them. That's our new project now. And that make a little bit different. However, we hope that we can cross over. Thank you.
Good, thanks. I am mindful that we are 15 some minutes behind. But I'm going to close the session by the final question that is given by my colleague. My colleague have put in a lot of efforts on organizing this activity. I think I owe them for at least one sort of chance to raise their concern. Right, Yuhan?
Okay, thank you. I would like to recap the presentation of Professor Nakaya, because you said the tsunami tragedy annihilate the belief, the people's belief or confidence to the science. So transmitting from the believing to being skeptical. So I think after the pandemic, people probably will be, skeptical in the people relation, even the globalization. I believe the globalization catalyzed the outbreak of the pandemic. So after the aftermath of the pandemic, what can we do, especially as a higher education, try to regain, try to educate the people to regain the belief in the kind of relation across the rights, or even the belief in the globalization to bring some benefit to us? That's my question.
Professor Nagata, you got it all?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very nice question, and we have to share. And actually, there probably higher education nurture the person who is the probably specialist for some scientific area. But if you think the global issues, including these infectious diseases problem or energy problem, global warming, maybe we have to discuss with the person with different specialties. So therefore, higher education should provide a chance with the study chance in a variety kind of the area, not only specialty, but also the more general classes, for example. So that now higher education is have the responsibility to nurture the people who can have the not only specialty, but also the general aspect or concept. That's our mission, I think. Thank you very much.
Great. I think that's a perfect line, probably just to conclude and at least end this, our session for this morning. We have a few more to go for the afternoon and tonight, connecting with friends from United States and so forth. But I guess as the intent when we organize in this platform, universities, as treasured as they are by us, should be the place where different walks of people meet, different stakeholders can comfortably discuss confronting issues, debating our differences. But at the end, university will probably be the only remaining cornerstone to highlight how human beings can really work together and with trust, with new possibility, and therefore lead the foundation for a better common future together. So with that, I want to thank some of my closest and most important strategic partners for NCKU, Tsinghua University, University of Malaya, UMP, Mahidong. And we are in this game together, and I hope to meet you all again on our next virtual forum together. So all the best to not only to the institution, but for our people of our country. Thank you. See you next time. Thank you. And I thank the audience here as well.
Thank you, Professor Su, our panel speakers, and the audience participation. This meeting room will reopen at 14:15. Session 2 starts at 14:30. See you again soon. Adjournment.
Bye, bye, bye. Yeah.
Thank you. Cái sẽ sang Nam Quang là không dự hả?
We would like to invite all participants to go in the front to have a good... Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Please stay in your seat, and we will take a picture from this side.
It doesn't matter. Huh? Well, thank you for coming. How was it? How was it? The questions were very critical, but I think this is the first round. I've been thinking of how we will get a better structured and very formally structured in terms of a new and potentially and likely to be for a long time evaluation process and so forth. And then we haven't really touched upon the critical concerns in terms of lab-based, hands-on type of courses and classes. Those are critical, and those are even more critical